All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's 30 Minutes Wednesday webinar. My name is Mike, and I am a systems engineer with Verify, and I am your host. I'm joined today by Jim Schultens. He will be demonstrating some fundamental reporting tasks that all new Verify users should know. We're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. Then we'll jump right into a live demo with Jim. Then we'll pause for some Q&A. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A chat window towards the bottom of your screen. After Q&A, we will go ahead and reward one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So make sure you stay until the end to see if you've won. A quick overview of Verify. We are the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. We provide industry-leading CDR reporting, call analytics, customizable dashboards, UCCX real-time wallboard reporting and analytics, remote phone control, macros and broadcast, change management, as-built reporting, DN and dial plan management, and the latest edition, Cisco Cube CDR reporting. We have a few different solutions available, but today we are going to focus on the call analytics portion of the software. And before we get started, Verify now offers Ninja Enhanced Consulting Services, or NECS. So what is NECS? Well, it's when one of our system engineers, like Jim or myself, will engage remotely on a one-on-one basis to provide additional consulting services. It can be on reporting, dashboard configuration, system monitoring. So this provides a dedicated SE to you. We will do all the heavy lifting. If someone needs a report, they contact us and we'll create the report for them. If you want any additional information, please let one of us know or speak with your account manager, and we'd be more than happy to go over our consulting services more in depth. With all that said, I want to thank everyone for attending, and I'm going to pass the ball over to Jim.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending this week's workshop. As Mike said, I'll be showing you how to run basic reporting in Verify. We'll also touch briefly on dashboard and widget creation as well. Hopefully by the end of this webinar workshop, we're changing the name, so it's hard to get used to. By the end of this workshop, you'll come away with more confidence to tackle those reporting needs users often request. All right, let's get started with the reporting. A couple different ways to access the reports module. Right now, I'm in the dashboards and widgets screen. We could click on this call analytics reporting and put you right into the history. The other way to get there is with what we call the app launcher. Here you can choose your cluster. If you do have multiple clusters, you can choose the cluster you want to use the report on, and the same history report, schedule, and alerts. We're going to start off in the history screen here. So think of the history screen as a sandbox, someplace you can test what you want to see in the reports, and then from there we can create a report that we can save a report. So like I said, this as a sandbox. You've got different criteria you can add. You're going to need at least one search criteria. The original call party can be used for see calls going to a specific number or to a group of numbers, and you can use different options here. Either equals a specific number, contains, the number is contained in somewhere in that. Starts with, ends with, does not, has all fails. So one thing I do want to point out is we do use capital X for a wildcard. So let's say I'm looking for anything with the extension of 14XX. This would be anything from 1400 to 1499, and I'm going to choose my date as being a lab. I don't have data for my current day, but if I choose previous week and apply, click on view results, that'll give me anything with the original call party of 14XX. We can go back and view modify search. We can expand that a little bit if you want to see all calls, either whether that those extensions place that call or receive them. We can remove that. We do have a whole bunch of options we can choose from from calling party, and we've got them broken down by section. This is, the originating party. There's different options here. You see these CUCM options. These are not in the CDR data that we get from Call Manager. The way we get these is we do a live Excel query to the Call Manager to gather this information based on the extension or the user. So we can associate end user manager ID, user IDs, departments, all from the extension or DN that in the results. So, and original call party number, you've got a whole list of those, terminating party with final call party, or we've got some combos, calling party or original call party. So it's either going to be in the calling party field or the original call party field. We've got a whole slew of different combinations. The one I'm going to go down to is all three of them, what we refer to as the triple header, calling party, original, or final call party. So if I do that, add my criteria, and for X again, results, and you can see, I've got some that have the 0.4xx in the calling party, some that have it in the original, and some that have it in the final. So it gives you an overall picture of the calls to that number. We can also do a specific number. I'm going to pick on my, actually, I'm going to remove that and go to original call party. I'm going to do a quick hunt group report. Got a hunt group pilot of 77280. Should be in my breadcrumbs here. Here are the results. And so for hunt group, we tend to use original call party as opposed to hunt pilot because we noticed every record doesn't always have the hunt pilot field filled in with the hunt pilot number where original call party does. So you can get more accurate results with that. And then the final call party is the person that answered that. So that's great. This is what I'm looking for. I've got some internal calls calling the hunt group, some external callers calling the hunt group. So now I've got this, great. I can't really give this to a user. So how do I get this into a report? I could go to reports and recreate this, starting with my search set. Or if I click on export results, that's kind of going to put me in a report module here. You'll notice on the search set, I've got my search set that I used in the history screen. I can always add more if I need to. Back to the basics tab, we'll go through some of these here. So when you come in here, it gives you the option to save for future use. So type. I've already got one of these saved, so I'm going to add just a digit after that just to keep it separate. These are just more for aesthetics, how you want to display the report. So you can choose to share it, show title, and different options down here. Again, my search set, I want to put on all calls. If I'm saving this report, I probably want to rename this. Make more sense because this will display on the report. And then I'm going to skip over grouping for now and go to search set statistics. This is tied to your search set. So the results from 77280, what do I want to see out of those? I want to see total call count. I want to see total average duration, total call duration. You can choose from a whole bunch of different options over on the left-hand side and just drag them over or double click on them, move them, connected call count, and then I can move these to wherever I want. I'm just going to go with some basics. Down here is some call statistics and scenarios, period over period, what we call them. And it gives you the option to show the stats in either hour of day, day of week, date, quarter hour of day. You can have multiple results in here. And then what you want to see on that this particular one is a table. We do have other call scenario volume tables and a chart as well, which would only display in PDF and HTML output. I'll turn the chart on, same hour of day, hour of day and day of week up here. Go back to grouping. Grouping can be used to further summarize the data from your search set. So in the case of a hunt group, I want to see who's answering these calls in my hunt group. So my primary grouping type, I can sort it by day or group it by day, but I'm more concerned with who is answering. So I'm going to go down to my terminating, and I could do final call party. If I want to get more personal, I could do UCM end user ID. Again, this will be queried, queried back to call manager to get that end user ID information, and that'll display on the report. I can display end user as last name, first name. I've got some different choices. Default, and the sorting. I can sort by the person's name, or if I want to see who my high producer is, I can put them at the top. I can put my low producers at the bottom or at the top as well. So I'll just choose highest to lowest. You can do grouping search sets. I'm not going to get into that too much. That'll allows you to further search on what your results are here. If you want to limit it to certain people or eliminate some people from here, you could use the grouping search set. Similar to the search set stats, I can do my grouping stats with my various options here to show on the report. And same with period over period stats for the end users that are answering those calls. I can get those stats, you know, by hour or by day or whatever you so choose. Call history details. Usually, you know, that could is going to mirror what we saw on the history search. And again, you can add and remove columns here. So you can pick and choose what you want to see on the history, or you can turn off history. Cradle to grave in conjunction with history details, it'll show you all the legs of the call. If the call is going to multiple places before or after the call you're searching for, you can see the whole history of the call by using Cradle to Grave. We've got some great webinars on Cradle to Grave, so I suggest you look at the webinars and or the knowledge base articles we have for those. I'll point those out in a minute. And then report delivery is the last one. Once you're, this is from the history screen we got here that shows the report delivery, but this will not show up if you access it through the reports module. When you run the report, you'll have these options here. So label set, I'll touch on that briefly. You can use custom label sets. We've got a couple of them defined here, or the system default. Basically, that's what you see on the header along the details of the report. Some of those may not make sense to end users, so you've got the option to make a custom label set to change those so it makes more sense to your end users. Again, another great webinar and knowledge base article on how to do that. Your file output format, you can choose your different options. If you are showing details and have a lot of columns, I would suggest using HTML or CSV Excel. PDF tends to cut off columns, so you may not see everything you're looking for. So I'm going to switch that to HTML for now. And how you want your report delivered. You can either download it locally, email, which you can then choose your pick list of people you want to email it to. We do have chat, WebEx chat available where you can choose who you want to send the email to or the report to in chat, FTP, or repository. The repository can be chosen. That's just going to download it to a local repository, and you can access the report from there. I'll show you that in a second. So you could also email who you're going to email it to, and then you've got the choice of attaching the file or sending the repository download link. So the user will just get a link, saves on if you've got a big attachment or your organization doesn't like sending attachments in email, you have the option to download a link to it. All right, so I'm just going to go back and download, run this report. So here's the results. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. The workshop is more for creating and saving reports, but basically your original search set, we had 257 calls come into the original search set, and then how they were divvied up between the users. Notice I did sort it by count, so the highest to lowest. And then I've got my charts for hourly. So this is overall search set, how many calls came into the hunt group by the hour. If I chose to, I could do an hourly stat for each person taking the call as well. And then here's my hour of day. And I've also got the day of week, how many calls per day of week came into that hunt group. All right. One thing I did want to point out on this history screen that I kind of glanced over was the detail columns. We can add or remove columns, and that's just by adding or removing from here. And then if we do add a couple columns, and we add the clause code columns, and as soon as I save it, those will be reflected after I save it there. All right. So that's, like I said, how to get to create a basic report using the history screen, your sandbox, and then create a report from there. We could also start from scratch, creating a report. I've got a bunch of reports saved here. And if I want to show just my reports, I don't want to see shared reports. I'm an admin, so I've got access to private reports as well. So I can just show reports that I created here. I can copy one of these reports and modify it. So I've got down here, I've got our hunt group 77280. If I want to make another similar report to that, but just use a different hunt group, I can just change my name, change my search set. And here I've got a couple different options here. I've got, I'm breaking this report down by inbound calls to the hunt group, and then I want to see how many internal. So I've got two separate search sets, both doing similar things, but in a different way. I'm searching for, so the calling party for internal calls is 4 digits. I've got 4-digit extensions in my lab, so that's what I'm using. And the calling party for inbound calls I'm using starts with, and I think I've got 9 or 10 X's there, my wildcard, so it can't, as long as it's got more than 9 digits, it's going to include it in this search set. Same grouping, so I'm grouping by CSU and user ID. So you've got a good variety of things you can do with these. I'm going to cancel this. I'll show you quick run this report because I do have the 2 different search sets. And search time window, I need to change that to my previous week. And download that as PDF. And there's my two different search sets. So my inbound calls to 77280 was 212, and my internal calls I had 45. It then gives you the user's breakdown by who answered those calls. All right, that's it for the reports here. Well, I did want to go through real quick. You notice this import reports. We do have some template reports that you guys can use. They are on our downloads page of the website. So if you log in and go to product downloads and scroll down, you've got some template reports. These are great get started reports. We've got some for CUCM, some for UCCX, and some for CUBE. What you would do is download those locally. I've already done that. So then I would click on import reports, browse to my download location. And here, it's going to come as a zip file. So once you download it, unzip it to a folder. As you can see, I've got the reports here. I don't have to do all of them. I could do one. I could do a couple of them. But you can do all of them at once. And then it shows 16 files and import report. I've already done that. The nice thing about those is they all start with the word template. So here's what you will see once you download those. It will be in your report section. And some of these will need some modifications because they're not based on your data. But we do have some great webinars on that. If I just search for a template in the webinar section, it goes through all the reports we have for these templates and tells you, this one does not require any additional edits. This hunt group one has some required changes. Obviously, your hunt group's not going to be 77280. So, and then some optional changes, if you want to change it. So, it's also got a link to a sample report, which you can basically very similar to what I just ran here. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm not going to go through creating a report from scratch. Basically, all the same as with the history screen. It's just that you've got a blank slate to do that with. I'll touch on schedules here. We can schedule reports hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. A whole bunch of options for that. These are some saved schedules that I've got. You can enable or disable as needed. So if I click on create report or create schedule and give us a name here, then I would select the report. And I can do search for my name is 77280 hunt group, choose that report, choose how often I want to run it. If I want it to be a daily report, we could always do that. Then we can also set up a separate schedule to be a weekly report. If you notice on this dropdown, there's nothing that shows week or weekly report, but you would just choose your day of the week and choose what day you want to run that on. So if I want to run it on a Saturday or Sunday, I can do that. If I pick a Sunday, I want to run it on the previous week. So in your search time window, I would choose previous week. We can add additional clusters. If you've got multiple clusters, you can run the same reports on multiple clusters. And delivery is the same as what we saw in the reports. So save this. And again, we can set a download link or a file attachment. And I've got my gym test scheduled to report. One thing I would like to point out is on the schedule, the start time, it defaults to 12 a.m. If you're going to be making a lot of schedules, we suggest you stagger that so all the reports aren't kicking off at once. We do have a new feature coming out very soon, which is queuing of the scheduled reports. So you can choose how many you want to report, how many reports you want to run simultaneously, 2 or 3. And then if they're all set at the same time, the first 2 reports will run. It'll queue up the rest of the reports set for that time. And then as one completes, it's going to pick another one and run that out of the queue. So it's a great feature. We're looking forward to that. Hopefully eliminate some problems we've seen with schedule time being set the same for load of reports. Touch on this configure option here. I mentioned the public search sets and the custom labels. This is where you would go and do that. We can set up alerts and some other things for devices, time of day. I'm not going to get into that, but just wanted to show you where those were located, mainly the custom labels and the public search sets. All right. I think that does it for the reports. I will move on over to dashboards and widgets, and we're running short on time here, but I wanted to go over a couple things in dashboards and widgets. This is my dashboard here. I can add a new widget by clicking the new widget button. I can create a whole new dashboard. I can choose to share that dashboard. I can do a permalink. I'll show you that in a second. But if I save this, I'm basically being before with reports given a blank slate. I can create a widget. Obviously, we're talking about CUCM, but if you do have Cube and UCCX, you can do widgets for those. You can mix and match widgets on a dashboard, so you can have some CUCM, some Cube, and some UCCX all on the same dashboard. Select your widget type distribution. This is going to be a pie chart showing your results. All history details is basically what we saw on that history screen. Just basic stats on what you're searching for. You can do your time periods, hourly, daily, weekly, like we saw on the reports. And you can do some grouping statistics as well as concurrency. So I'm not going to get too much into this. I've got some already created. I do want to show, back to my dashboard, and I've got, like you said, these are created already. This is the, if I edit it, this is my call distribution widget. I'm grouping on the final call party. I can group on the end user device, the terminating end user device to give the names if I want, and my search sets and time period. So this is something broken down by departments. I had a detail report here. I've got some intermix there. This is your period over period, time period widget. And this is basically your grouping statistics. So I'm grouping by the terminating end user ID. And some capacity utilization widgets. This is for my trunk utilization. I can do capacity on a department or a group of people. Very, very flexible in that respect. This dashboard I can copy. We just came out with the new feature that allows non-admins to copy dashboards or share dashboards. So I can make a copy of this dashboard. I've got the same dashboard as a copy. I can go into sharing and do a permalink. This is helpful if you've got users that don't have access to the Verify system and you don't want them to have access. You can copy this, turn on public access, give the permalink, copy that. And once that's going to basically mirror that dashboard. So any changes I make to the main dashboard will be reflected in here. It'll be updated just like the normal dashboard. So this would be good for if you've got a TV screen application, you want to show some of these widgets on TV screen, or like I said, if users don't have access to the system, you can give them this and they can view their dashboards. These obviously can be edited, refreshed. You can change the appearance of each widget. But anyway, the appearance lets you change the aspect if you want. If you want to zoom in or zoom out, change the font. It does give you that option. There we go. So I can change the vertical spacing. I can change the font size. Those options. All right, I think, Mike, I am over time, it looks like. Do we have any questions that came in?
I answered a few. The two that we should cover. One was a question about Cradle to Grave, asking, is Cradle to Grave available for all different platforms as far as reporting goes?
Cradle to Grave is mainly for CUCM. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike. I haven't done much with this cube.
You are correct. It is not available in the cube reports.
I didn't think so. Or in CCX for that matter. Yeah, just
not in CCX.
Yep.
Although we can see from the point of view of the call manager, we can see the calls going into and coming out of the contact center. So if you do want to see Cradle to Grave for UGCX, you can see it from the point of view of the call manager.
Right.
Other one is the other question was the report templates. Where can they be found?
On our website, like I showed, if you log in, you'll have to sign into the website and go to support, product downloads. Probably going to ask me to log in here. Once I do log in, it'll, this is for upgrades. So then you scroll down just a little bit, you can find your templates here. Like I said, that's going to be a zip file that gets downloaded, extracted, and you can choose specific reports to import or just import them all so you've got them there. Did I answer the question?
That's it. I think that is
right.
it. Let me finish my last. Okay. Yeah, we're all set. Let me take back control.
Okay. I will stop sharing.
All right. Great job, Jim. If you guys have any additional questions, please feel free real quick to toss it into the Q&A or into the chat. I want to thank everyone for attending today's winner. But before we go, let's announce the winner thank everyone today for attending today's webinar. But before we go, let's announce the winner of today's Amazon gift card. The winner is Tony Karts. Congratulations. Ooh. We'll have your account manager reach out to you soon. Our next upcoming webinar will be next Wednesday, February 2nd at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Vic and I will be going over some report generation, kind of covering the different options. So we'll cover period over period, summary stats, and the grouping options. Thank you everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.